Hey, this is Sasha Evdokov, and welcome to investinghelpdesk.com, where I answer some of your frequently asked questions about trading and investing. So this week's question is it better to trade options or stocks? What is your preference? So first off, let's talk about the options attraction. Why are many people attracted to options? Well, the reason why many people are attracted to options is typically because of their account size. I find that many people who have a smaller account size are attracted to options because of leverage. So they assume that they can trade larger or use that leverage to make more and accelerate the growth process to their account. Now, you want to pay close attention to this. Have some caution because it's not always the best move to put a 16-year-old new driver inside a 500 horsepower Ferrari. And this is what people do with trading options. They really go a lot quicker and leverage things up faster than what they should be. They need to first build experience and then move into options. But many people want to jump into options because they think they can grow their account larger. Remember that you're trading with professionals when you trade. Now, there are some advantages when it comes to options. For example, trading options can give you advantages like time decay, meaning you can capitalize as options decay by selling those options. You can create spread strategies that you can't do with stocks. So you're allowed to create a lot of different variations that you just can't do when you're just trading stocks directionally. And finally, of course, leverage. Now, there's other advantages as well, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Now, there are some also disadvantages with options. So sometimes volatility and lighter liquidity in certain options can be a problem. And of course, not to mention the learning curve that goes along with options is just much higher. There's much more to learn when it comes to options than there is with stocks. However, this will give you some base guidelines behind some of those advantages and disadvantages. So what's the final verdict? Well, it comes down to what you like better and what works for your risk to reward tolerance, your style, and your goals. Certain people love trucks. Others like hybrid vehicles. Some people just love motorcycles. So I always say do what works for you personally, because I'm not you. The person down the street isn't you, and your friend isn't you. You need to do what works for you and your style, your goal, your risk and reward strategy. It's one of the reasons why you don't see a tennis player going into mixed martial arts right away, because they're not interested in contact sports, or a hockey player jumping into golf. It's very rare that you see those transitions. So you need to find what works for you, for your pace and your trading style, because there's a lot of different ways that you can trade. But you still might be wondering, what is it that I like? So I'll give you some insight. I personally prefer to trade index options like the SPY, QQQ, SPX, IWM, RUT in my personal accounts because of the 1256 contract tax code, which you can do some research on, but I'll give you some insight here. Now, in my IRA account, I will trade any stock or options depending on preference, since you are taxed a little bit differently. Typically, those taxes are deferred towards when you take money out of those accounts, or pre-taxed if you're doing like a Roth IRA or something to that effect. So what is this 1256 tax code and contract code? Well, first off, I want to make sure that you understand that this is a disclaimer that I'm not a tax advisor, so you may and should contact your accountant, tax advisor regarding your personal taxes and your situation. But this is just my personal, Sasha's take on the tax code and why I like trading the way that I trade based on some of these taxes. So one of the main advantages is this 1256 contract tax code. So in this, what it states is basically 60%, including day trades, are taxed at the lower long-term capital gains tax rate, and 40% are taxed at the short-term rate, which is the ordinary tax rate. So with 1256 contract tax rate, you have a maximum of 28% that you can use it. So it's 12% lower than the top ordinary rate, which is right around that 40% rate. So here's an example that'll really start to make sense. So the current long-term capital gains tax rate is 15%. The short-term capital gains tax is, let's say, 35%. If a trader makes $80,000 in profits, here's how you're going to be taxed if you have the 60-40 contract rule. So first off, we take 60% of $80,000. That'll be our $48,000. We tax that at 15% because 15% is taxed at the longer term rate. This gives us a tax fee of $7,200 that we have to pay Uncle Sam or the IRS. Then you take 40% of that $80,000 and you get $32,000. Now, you tax that at the short-term capital gains tax, which is 35%. And in there, you pay Uncle Sam, the IRS, $11,200 on your $80,000 profit. So your total between these two is $7,200 plus $11,200, which gives you about $18,400 on your tax bill at the end of the year, which is roughly around 23% on that tax bill. Now, if you did it the other way, just trading stocks, when you had $80,000, if you did day trades, swing trades, it doesn't matter, you're taxed at 35% because the 100% of that is going to be taxed at the 35% bracket, which will give you $28,000 on your final tax bill. So you can see that it's roughly $10,000 more on your tax bill. So the difference really is, are you going to pay $18,400 on taxes on that $80,000, or are you going to pay $28,000 on your $80,000 in profits? And of course, I'd rather be or make almost an extra $10,000 simply by just trading index contracts in options in my standard account, because you're just going to make all of a sudden that much more at the end of the year. It really just jumps you about another 10% in profits. So I hope that makes sense. And if you want to see more questions and answers, be sure to visit me at investinghelpdesk.com, where you can also reach out to me and ask other questions if this video wasn't as clear for you, and I'll give you some more examples. Now, if you'd like to go ahead and get on the newsletter list, make sure you do that, because that way when I release new training videos and training material, you'll be sure to get those latest videos and information. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube so that way you're not missing a video on one of our channels. And if you'd like to see some of the courses and books that I have to continue to accelerate your learning and education, then just go ahead and click this box over here. So just go ahead and click any one of these boxes and visit the corresponding pages, and you'll be taken to that page. Thanks again for joining me. Remember, do what you love, contribute to others, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.